Let's go. The biggest story of the year. Of course, we're going to go live tonight. We'll also do our normal Tuesday night live stream tomorrow. Brian Kelly, there is a lot to like. There are some things to dislike as well, but just right off the top, good job by Scott Woodward getting a top 20 coach in college football, probably a top 10 coach in college football over the past decade. What do we know about this search? The only thing that I kept hearing about this search with Scott Woodward, that he was going to get someone with a lot of experience. And that's why guys like Dave Aranda wasn't really considered. That's why guys like Billy Napier, not a whole lot of Power 5 experience. So obviously Brian Kelly, college football playoffs, 10-win seasons every year in Notre Dame, where it's not the easiest to do those things, but I would push back on some of that as well. So let me just say this right off the top. I was actually going to release a video today at 6, and it was done. It was based on some of the things I was hearing about Brian Kelly. So I did a deep dive on Brian Kelly, and I'm going to release it tomorrow. That has a bunch of fancy edits and all of that, and it'll show you how I really feel about Brian Kelly. There are some major red flags, some on field, some off field, but the bottom line is Brian Kelly, especially if you actually did whiff like you did on Lincoln Riley, if that actually was a thing, or if you whiffed on other candidates, it is never bad to fall back on one of the best college football coaches of the modern era. And the bottom line is Brian Kelly. You can make any argument that you want. He is one of the 10, no less than 20 best college football coaches of the past 2 decades. So there's no other way around it. Brian Kelly is an elite name. Now, will he produce elite results on the field? It's hard for me to see him not doing that with the talent that's going to come in to LSU. So Black Goatee, our first super chatter of the night. Thank you guys so much. I'm giddy like a schoolgirl right now. So Black Goatee sent me a message earlier today that said, Carter, I am secretly wanting Brian Kelly to be the next head coach. So thank you. And I'm sure that you're happy about it right now. Okay. So look, you can't be mad at Scott Woodward for hiring Brian Kelly at this point in the search. So what I've heard, so I was actually doing a deep dive on Matt Rule earlier today, and I then started hearing that Brian Kelly was starting to be the guy. Then The Athletic released a report. Bruce Feldman, who's way more connected than I am, he started saying that this is starting to look likely. So that was when I said, okay, Brian Kelly's probably going to get hired in the next 24 hours. So I was just waiting to do a live stream on it. Ryan, welcome to the channel. We always want to make first timers feel very welcome. We'll get into Marcus Freeman here in just a second. So obviously, it's going to be crazy tonight. Tonight's going to be wild, especially after our live stream. I thought last night was wild. Tonight, we are getting lit. So I want to welcome everyone in, right? So let's go to Brian here. Kelly will bring some of his recruits with them. So let's start with the recruiting aspect of it. Brian Kelly coached at a Catholic school for a long period of time, and he is going into the most Catholic region in the South. So that obviously helps out. I think the biggest thing when it comes to recruiting, and I agree with what Brian says here, is there are very few coaches that produce elite offensive linemen year in and year out. So by far, if you want to talk specifics as far as football is concerned, we're only focusing on the football for now. We'll get into some of the off the field stuff a little bit later. What position group? I want everyone to answer this in the comment section right now. I just want to see what you guys say when I'm about to answer Brian's question right here. Which position group has been LSU's weakest on the team? Okay. Just write it in the comment section right now. Whatever you're typing, delete it. we say, I see Plum in here. I see KO in here. I see Keegan Ulysses in here. A lot of our day ones are in here, and a lot of newbies are coming in. Okay. Position group. Which position group? Okay. Let me see. Esteban, Brady, go Tigers, Derek Crumper, Blake. Okay. The offensive line. Okay. Now, how many coaches in college football? I'm talking about just head coaches. So not Sam Pittman, who's obviously the best offensive line head coach in the sport. But how many coaches have produced better offensive lines than Brian Kelly? How many? You can argue Paul Chryst at Wisconsin. You can argue Sam Pittman, but Brian Kelly's number one. Quentin Nelson, the list goes on, right? Notre Dame's offensive lines are always really freaking good, okay? So the bottom line is the biggest position of need on this team is the offensive line. Now, I will say this, Brad Davis is really good at his job. He's done a really good job with this group, but it's a little bit different when you also bring in a head coach who also knows how to coach that position. So that is very key. Now, I know a few of you have said Iowa. Iowa's definitely up there. Michigan, I mean, their offensive line's amazing this year. So that is huge. Okay, so Antoine says all the boxes have been checked. Program builder, checked. By the way, Cincinnati was Cincinnati before Fickell with Brian Kelly. Not quite, I mean, Fickell's done better than Kelly, but still, Kelly was really good there. Offensive minded, absolutely offensive minded. Can recruit. He's recruited pretty well at Notre Dame. He's proven and seasoned. So I'm talking myself into this as a fan of the program, okay? I'm going to back whoever the coach is going to be. The coach could have been Bobby Boucher. I was going to back him. It doesn't matter who it was going to be because we're all LSU fans in here. Well, most of us are LSU fans in here. I see a few Texas A&M fans, okay? So let's go back to Black OT here. Kelly, that's too big of a word for me, Black OT. You know, I graduated with a 2.7 in journalism. I don't know big words. Near dear the Notre Dame program. He did. Double-digit wins in each and every one of those seasons. So here's what I'll do, okay? If you guys want me to share some of the data that I've already done on Brian Kelly, I started working on a deep dive that I was going to release today. I was hearing that the announcement was going to come tomorrow, but the report's already leaked out from the people that are far more in the know than me. So I went on ahead and decided to do a live stream. So tomorrow night, we will release my detailed data-driven Brian Kelly analysis. And we'll get into some of that tonight as well. Okay? If BK has it his way, Durante Jones is gone, and hello, Marcus Freeman. Yes, this was Marcus Freeman playing chess, not checkers. He knew that Brian Kelly was going to eventually take the LSU job, and he knew that was going to happen. Big Easy 504, I've missed you, man. What a roundabout way to get your defensive coordinator. But I don't think Marcus Freeman's going to come. I don't. I think he's going to be looking for a head coach job right now. I do. I think Notre Dame will think about it. I will. I really do think so. I think Notre Dame will think about it. I also think, and this is just my bold prediction here, I think Luke Fickell's packing his bags, going to Notre Dame and leaving Cincinnati. I do. I know I've said that Fickell's going to wait for that Ohio State opening when Ryan Day goes to the NFL, if he actually makes that move. But I could see Fickell getting a nice $8 or $9 million deal to go to Notre Dame, and it'll be hard for him to say no. And then Freeman get the job at Cincinnati, or Freeman go to Virginia Tech, or whatever. So I can easily see that. And I don't think that obviously Fickell would keep Freeman on staff there. So once again, I was actually going to do a thing on Mickey Joseph earlier today because that report was pretty interesting that he is seriously considering leaving to go to Nebraska. So we'll see. Let's see. What someone said, Les Miles to Notre Dame. It's hard for me to click on comments. You guys are coming in. So Roger, send it, big dog. Talk it into it. I am disappointed at this hire. I think that's what you said here, Roger. I'm disappointed at this point. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, all right. There are a lot of you that are disappointed in this hire. Okay? Tell me if you are disappointed in the hire. I want everyone that is very positive about the hire to just slow down. I want everybody right now that is disappointed in this hire to tell me why. Okay? My guy Dane right here is one of my best buds. Kelly currently has a number 3 recruiting class, even with Notre Dame's restrictions. Okay. The Kansas City Shuffle. Thank you, Black OT, for with all your donations. Mike Ken, is this your first time in the chat? Welcome, man. We hope to see you around more often, my friend. Nice professional headshot here. Kelly can't win the big one. Jesse's been with us since day one. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. That'll be, that's actually the center of our video tomorrow night. I'll touch on this really quickly. I think some of this just comes down to looking at the teams that he's played in these moments. So he lost to 2018 Clemson, which is one of the best teams of all time. Okay? He's also lost to Alabama a bunch. I think what really concerns me, though, Jesse, is not necessarily losing playoff games. I think we criticize everyone too much for losing playoff games because in playoff games, you're going up against oftentimes just as good, if not better teams, right? My counter to that, Cody, you see, I always put Cody's comments up here because he's wearing a PHL shirt. I freaking love it. I wasn't going to put my PHL shirt on again because it was smelling. I wore 2 live streams in a row. I know, kind of weird. But still, Cody says he is loving the hire. Okay. So let's see. So this is what I'm talking about right here. Okay. Dabo has rings, and welcome Embassy Music. So, I mean, there's a lot of coaches who can't get a job right now that have rings. Just because you won a national championship doesn't mean you're a good coach. Wonder what position coaches he brings with him. I hope he keeps Brad Davis and Raymond. Did you get that cash app from Saturday? I did, Esteban. I believe so. Thank you so much. Okay, so what position coaches does he bring with them? I do think Marcus Freeman will get a good long look. I know he was interested. He almost went to LSU the first time. But which position coaches is he going to keep? I don't know, right? I'm still shocked that Lincoln Riley brought horrible Alex Grinch with them to USC. I would be furious if I was USC right now if Lincoln Riley brought Alex Grinch, who's been the one that's holding them back. BK's definitely a great O-line, but the problem and major knock on Kelly is quarterback development, which has always been a big problem for us, but RB and defense strong. So I'm really glad you brought this up, Daniel. Okay. Does Brian Kelly get Lincoln Riley type money? Probably not. It'll probably be, though. What I think, since Brian Kelly is 60 years old, he's probably going to get, if I were to guess, 8 years, $90 million. That's where I would guess his contract's going to be. So let's talk about Brian Kelly's quarterback development. Sometimes your quarterback development just comes down to who you have at quarterback. And I think we can all agree, if you're a Saints fan, as many of you know, Ian Book hasn't necessarily lit the world on fire at the next level. And then at the same time, he had Deshaun Kaiser, who was fine, Everett Golson, who actually beat us, and Brian Kelly has actually beaten us in 2 different bowl games. What's very interesting to me, though, is that Brian Kelly has actually had, to me, just as good, if not better, defensive players and offensive players. And Brian Kelly himself was a defensive player in college. What's really interesting about Brian Kelly is, you look at his offensive yard per play numbers, they're actually pretty good, but there is a major asterisk to it. I think something that has really helped out Brian Kelly these last couple of seasons is the two powerhouses that they play every year on the schedule, Florida State and USC. Top 20 recruiters that have top 20 talent basically every year. They've sucked. So that's definitely helped out Brian Kelly over the past couple of years. But still, it's impressive when you actually look at his win-loss record. It's just so freaking good. And this is also interesting as well, Esteban. Thank you for the Cash App. I'm pretty sure I got it. I don't take it lightly. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And by the way, Esteban, along with Greg and King Ulysses and everyone else, part of the Booger Band Club. I still have plenty of Booger Bands. If you're new to the channel, you obviously are. There's 500 people in here. You're kidding me? That is definitely a record on live streams. We do this every Tuesday and Saturday night. Saturday's live stream will be a little bit later. We'll get to that a little bit later, but Tuesday nights at 7 Central. So we'll be live tomorrow night at 7 Central. And then I have a Ed Ingram film study that we're going to get to. I started working on it last night. I'm so excited to talk about Ed Ingram because this guy's really put the team on his back. So we do all different kinds of stuff. I'm just telling you on the channel, please subscribe and like the video because this is what I do full time. And if I don't have full-time money, Haley is going to take whatever money I have left and spend it on more Harry Styles tickets. So please help me out. Didn't Walker Tower take an official visit to Notre Dame? Makes you think. So, Isaac, if you want a Booger Band, just shoot me a Venmo or Cash App at Carter the Power and send me a message on either of those platforms. $20 for 3. If you get the 3 for 20 deal, I send an LSU card. And tonight's card giveaway, I've been giving away Joe Burrow cards a lot lately. Let's see. Who am I going to give out tonight? We'll get to that a little bit later. So, yes. But yes, Walker Howard, he was just getting ready to visit Notre Dame. Walker Howard went to St. Thomas More. I think this is going to slam dunk Walker Howard to LSU. So that is a big part of the equation because I do think Walker Howard's going to be the most talented quarterback he's ever had at Notre Dame. So that's part of the reason why you get this LSU job, because you're just going to get better players. Right? Let's see. Do I think Eli Ricks is going to stay now? I doubt it. He's packed his bags. I hope not. Let's see here. This hire is whack. Creek, good to see you. Bruce, one of our day ones as well. Manning was considering Notre Dame as well. Next hot take, Freeman will take over for Kelly. I think Kelly is going to, or I think Marcus Freeman is going to wait to see what Notre Dame's going to do with their opening. So I'm obviously really excited about this. I'll say this. On a scale of 1 to 10 right now about this hire, I would probably I would say right now, I would definitely put myself at a 7. Definitely a 7 right now. Let's see. Those players are going to Notre Dame, not Kelly. We'll see. Mountain Dew, thank you for the super chat. Props to Woodward hiring only proven winners at the highest level. Peterson, Jay Johnson, Mulkey, Fisher, and Kelly. That's true. And this was his most important hire yet. Brian Kelly is 60 years old. I will say this. So when I was doing research on him, I started reading some Notre Dame blogs. So people like you and I, right? I'm just a dude. We're all just LSU fans, right? I have a football background, not that deep. You can tell, though, in our film studies, we try to get as detailed as we possibly can. So I was reading, and there were some people that are Notre Dame fans that were expressing frustration about how the Notre Dame offense runs. Now, I will say this. The actual yards per play numbers did back that up. Teams that normally run offenses like Notre Dame's, I'm going to say this, and it's not going to make a lot of people happy. The strengths and weaknesses of Brian Kelly are pretty much, and Walker Howard just said he's going to bring us national championships. Seems like Walker Howard's on board, so that's huge. But point being, a lot of the strengths that Brian Kelly has and a lot of the weaknesses Brian Kelly has are very similar to that of Jimbo Fisher. Really good program builder, knows the ins and outs of college football, knows how to recruit, knows how to fundraise. I will say Jimbo's a little bit more affable with his personality. Kelly can be a little terse at times, but still, their major weaknesses, quarterback development, yard per play numbers, road performances, they really are very similar candidates. So it's very interesting. Okay. Notre Dame YouTube is live as well. You talk about a totally different perspective from there and here. They hate Brian Kelly and glad to see him go now. We love him. Just funny. Hi, welcome to the channel. Kenneth, everyone, welcome, Kenneth. We do have a lot of first-timers in here. I guarantee you, and you can ask everyone in the channel that actually is here for every live stream, we get after it. Now, I just want everyone in here to know, if you're not a diehard LSU football fan, if you don't, once again, we don't take it too serious, but we do look at things deeply. If that's not for you, if you're just rah, let me drink 3 beers, tailgate, and leave at halftime, if you're that kind of fan, this content is not going to be for you. Okay. I just want to, give you that warning, right? Because we are diehards like Plum and Carvis. They've been with me for a while, guys. All the newbies, like my guys, Carter Page, man. Carvis has been in my corner for a long time. It's crazy how Howard made a visit to Notre Dame now, who is a head coach. I will say this, okay? I don't know if that had too much to do with this decision, but I will say, reading people that are way smarter than me, Jamie Howard was informed on this decision. Now, Carter, is Brian Kelly a guy that can recruit our state and win now? So just doing some research, Notre Dame's had a few Louisiana guys, okay? Now, tomorrow I will be, for my North Louisiana viewers, this actually kind of blew up a little bit. I actually shouted out Sean Fox. I will be on his show tomorrow. So I believe I'm on there at 4 or 5, so please support Sean's show. So this is for my North Louisiana guys. I know a lot of you were pissed off when Jerry Tillery left this state. Now, he was a North Louisiana guy. He went to, obviously, Notre Dame. He killed it there, and he's still with the Chargers. He's still a great player with the Chargers. So Kelly's actually done a good job getting some Louisiana guys to go up to Notre Dame. A little bit harder than you would expect, because if you live in Louisiana your whole life, and if you've ever moved to up north where it actually gets cold, winters suck. They just do. So selling a kid who's never had to deal with the snow to go to Notre Dame, it's pretty good. Now, I haven't done too deep of a dive on Notre Dame's Louisiana players, so I'm guessing Brian Kelly will do fine in the state of Louisiana. At the same time, once again, the state of Louisiana will always recruit itself as well. Now, as many of you know, Les Miles and Ed Orgeron were great recruiters. They had great track records before they even got to LSU, in particular Ed Orgeron. But the thing is neither one of those guys can hold a candle to Brian Kelly's actual coaching. Now, Is Brian Kelly some X's and O's wizard like a Lincoln Riley or a Lane Kiffin? No, especially when it comes to the vertical passing game. And look, we love our Louisiana wide receivers. We know we got the best wide receivers in the country that come from the state. The only wide receiver to win the Heisman in the past 20 years was a guy from Louisiana. So, look, the best wide receivers are here, but at the same time, Notre Dame's had some beast wide receivers. Will Fuller, Chase Claypool. They have the best tight end in the country right now. They've had Kyle Rudolph. But still, the vertical weapons that he's going to have, can you imagine, Brian Kelly meeting Brian Thomas and Jack Bech for the first time ever? Those two guys are probably just as good, if not better, than any of Notre Dame's non-tight ends right now. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Let's see. Dang, Micah. Really? This is a lovely photo with your child, but goodness gracious. 5 years, son. He said he dropped the son. God, I love that. 5 years, son. You're a South Louisiana guy, I could just tell. Shoot, 3 years. Greg, thank you so much. Greg, your booger bands are in the mail right now. Well, actually, they're going out tomorrow. But I'll say this. It's not official. So that's the scariest thing about this. None of this is official until the press conference and the ink has dried. Okay? So it is not official. Valenti, definitely one of my day ones as well. Sanche, our biggest super chat of the night. Sanche Jones, let's go. Let's go. All BK has to do is lock down the state and cherry pick guys elsewhere, and he'll reel in top 5 classes regularly. And once again, I go back to the most important position that needs fixing, and that is the offensive line, okay? So that's going to be key. Sanche, send me your question. There is no question here. Let's see. Jason Taylor's son is still coming to LSU. Brian, good seeing you. Yeah, Mason Taylor. Cool stuff. Shan, the double rainbow. Deion Smith. I love it. I love the Odell thing. Tevin, welcome to the channel. Tony, I hope he can fix that offensive line troubles. Brian Kelly can win. He can win at LSU. Absolutely. Everybody, 586 in here. The Master Blaster is here. Let's go, Tony. Tony's name should be changed to the Master Blaster. Okay? Let's go. Let's go. Grats on hitting over 600. Love the content, brother. Michael, let the people know that we don't just do live streams. We bring the heat with every video. You guys are going to love my Brian Kelly deep dive. That'll release tomorrow at 6, right before our live stream at 7. So be on the lookout for that. How do you put the O on Brian Kelly? It may not be a good fit. That's key, right? But you couldn't put it in Les Miles or Nick Saban. So we'll be fine. But Jared, that's a good point. And for those that don't know, as many of you know, Jared is one of the top 5 contributors. Jared, I appreciate you, big dog. Ryan, good to hear from you. Yeah. Sanche, make sure you get a comment in here. I want to make sure I don't miss it because you gave a very generous super chat right there, my friend. Colin Cowherd said it's only going to take 2 years for a title. It's one of the GOATs right there. Andres, man, I love you, man. Saw you on Twitter the other day. Let's see. Bro Kelly, you just put it at the end. He should just change his name to that. Okay, as you know, I wasn't happy when the news broke, but as I've taken time to detach and think objectively about it, it's a pretty good hire. Yeah, Grant, you're one of the first people to actually send me the message. I was like, wow, that's just wild. I was still just kind of in shock. So, as many of you know, we like to put some graphics in here. So I want to show you this really quickly. All right. This is via Matt Fortuna. And to say that Notre Dame coaches, admins, and boosters I've spoken to in the last 15 minutes have been blindsided is an understatement. Shocking development, South Bend. I appreciate it. Deep Dive is coming tomorrow, KMC. You have the best game analysis in the state. All my friends watching North Louisiana. My flashlight isn't on right. North Louisiana. Robert. So King Robert, very generous super chat. As many of you know, King Robert is the leader of PHL. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Brandon, I appreciate you, man, and support my guy, Sean Fox, as well. I'll be on his show tomorrow, 97.7. I think I'll be on 4 or 5, somewhere around there. So support, to me, the best media personality in North Louisiana by a pretty wide margin, my guy, Sean. This is one of my media buddies from Georgia. Shout out to the dogs this year. Farmers Jam. What you do in Georgia is just amazing. Carter the Power, Brian, you can't tell me you're hyped about this. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm starting to get excited about it. BRIAN KELLY. And here's the thing, right? So James is always given the best takes. I used to go on his radio show all the time in Georgia. He used to come on mine in Louisiana. We were both doing student radio at the time. So James heard me when I was really, really bad at this media stuff, and I'm still horrible at it, but still working on it. This is a key thing. So we talk about this a lot on this channel. How hungry are you to win? Okay. And I know a lot of you, including music, really wanted Urban Meyer, right? Really wanted Dabo Swinney, right? But there is nothing like the hunger of someone who has not reached the highest level. And BRIAN KELLY is going to walk into this job hungry as you know what to actually get over the hump, right? He wants to beat Nick Saban. He wants to beat, once again, keep in mind, BRIAN KELLY has been beaten by our guy, Kirby Smart, James's guy, Kirby Smart, not once, but twice. Don't you think he wants a shot at Kirby Smart again? BK is the second winningest head coach currently in college football. How about that? Okay, so here's Robert. And Robert, as many of you know, is probably one of our most balanced viewers. Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. One of our most objective viewers, Robert. And I talk to Robert pretty often, one of our biggest contributors on PHL. Once again, even though, you know, I provide the content on the channel, it's just as much about you because I learned so much from you guys, like the Carvises and the Jareds and everyone in here. I don't think Danielle's in here. I don't think Paris are in here. Just wish that we hired a younger coach. Okay, so let's talk about this for a little bit. Okay. BRIAN KELLY is 60. Okay. That doesn't disqualify you to be a great head coach. I don't know of any health issues. I haven't done this deep of a dive yet, but I'm sure Scott Woodward did his homework on this. I'm not sure if BRIAN KELLY does have health issues. Now, I'm not sure. I'm just not. Now, 60 isn't too old. I think Jimbo is pushing towards 60 right now. Nick Saban is currently 70, but you can't really compare anyone to Nick Saban because he's the best of all time. So, yes, the age is a little bit of a concern, right? Especially when you were looking at different options that are younger. And part of being an SEC coach, you know, when Ed Orgeron, before his national championship, Ed Orgeron was one of the hardest workers in the SEC. I mean, he just got after it. He was hungry. He was on fire. He hadn't won that title yet, and he was trying to do what he can. So when BRIAN KELLY comes to LSU, it does hit a different level when it comes to recruiting, right? So I do think that does factor in. He had a hip replacement. Well, you got to have hips in the SEC, baby. You can't not have hips. What's up, Eric? Good to see you. Shout out to all our serving military. We have a lot of military, a lot of veterans that watch our channel. Let's see. Stacy, welcome to the channel. This sucks. Another retread. Stacy wanted prime time. Stacy. Stacy. primetime has done a lot of great things for college football. Okay? We've seen it. Not sure if LSU is the right job for his first big job. I still think he's going to be the coach at Florida State eventually. So the thing I don't get here is retread when he's been winning 10 wins every season. Jay Hill, you were the one that shared that Walker Howard anecdote last night. Jeremy, I agree with you. I know Walker Howard's on fire about this. So let's go. Let's go, Jay Hill. Let's go. Let's go. Prime is not leaving Jackson State. So I'll tell you this. As much as I like Deion Sanders, he's one of my favorite football players of all time, right? He made defensive players really, really, really cool. No. But basically, it's just true. What? You don't agree Nick Saban is the GOAT? What? People trust Scott so much, they'll say Kelly was the guy all along, but I'm not so sure. Peace. So, I don't think Brian Kelly was the guy all along. From what I've read and from what I've heard, this is what I think probably happened. So, Brian Kelly was probably reached out to early in the process. Okay? I read that earlier today on The Athletic. Probably told him no, but then they probably came back to him with more money. That's probably what happened. Okay? And then Brian Kelly said, look, this is the opportunity for me to go to a top 5 recruiter. I'm going to have better thoroughbreds in the stable, and this is going to be my time. So I think that's probably the most plausible scenario, and we'll go from there. Okay, Reggie. Once again, Reggie fighting the evil C, along with a lot of our people that are going through ailments right now. Just want to know every single one of you are in my thoughts. Here on PHL, we fight. Reggie's also a member of the Booger Band Club. Carter, talk about who you think the OC will be and who would you love to see. Now, really good question here. So, I am not on fire about Brian Kelly as a play caller and an organizer of offenses. Some of that is data-driven. Some of that is just watching Notre Dame over the years. I'm obviously going to stay up probably all night and watch every game I possibly can of theirs. I would like to see someone else call the plays, okay? That was one of my biggest holdups on Billy Napier, right? He is a good but not elite play caller. I think he has room to grow there, though, big time. Jimbo Fisher. Once again, I go back to this as well. Jimbo Fisher, one of his biggest weaknesses is play calling. I think he's just awful at it. There were so many calls that I saw this past weekend that just did not make any sense at all from Jimbo Fisher, to the point where I think it lost him the game. I really do. 3rd and 2, game on the line. You roll a non-athletic quarterback to the left and throw the ball to your athletic tight end behind the sticks when the strongest thing our linebackers do is go side to side. Really? That's what you're going to do? That's a game that's a play you're going to run for the first time to beat LSU since Pulp Fiction was released in Tiger Stadium? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Let's go to Carvis. Brian Kelly is a top 10 coach in the country and arguably top 5. Okay, so let's start with this. Is Brian Kelly a top 5 coach in college football? Okay, so let's list the guys that are clearly better than him. Saban, Dabo, okay? Part of Dabo is his resume, though. Saban is clearly better. And then outside of that, Kirby is better. And then after that, Brian Kelly's in that discussion. He really is. You know, once again, you can argue Fickle. You can argue There's quite a few people you can argue. You can argue Riley for sure. I would say Riley's been better, but not by much. Not by much. So yeah, I would say Brian Kelly's pretty firmly in that top 10. He's in the discussion with that next tier. But yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Let's see. He made 2 college football playoffs. He could finally get that championship at LSU. Our team is a quick fix with a soft schedule next year. Kelly is a winner. Yeah. So I agree. Schedule does look pretty nice next year for LSU. Also, something else that's really key when it comes to Brian Kelly that I really like a lot is overall I do consider him to be pretty decent between the headsets. Jay Strix, thank you so much for the generous Venmo. I really appreciate you. Okay. Now let's continue here. And we're going to get to Blake's super chat. He can finally get that championship at LSU. Our team is a quick fix. I agree. I do agree. I'm not going to say, though, that LSU is a quick fix because we do have some quarterback issues. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about Max Johnson returning as a starter next year, but I do think it is a more likely scenario that Max, I would say, once again, depending on how the bowl game goes, I would say Max probably has a 50% shot at starting next year, right? I'm interested to hear what Garrett Nussmeier has to say about this. And Doug Nussmeier, once again, I thought the redshirting decision they made was nonsensical. But here we are. So we'll see. Once again, Max wouldn't necessarily be my pick for quarterback next year, but how much better does Brian Kelly make Max Johnson? We'll see. I'm happy with the improvement Durante Jones has shown over the season, but is there any chance Marcus Freeman joins Kelly? So Marcus Freeman's pretty elite, right? He's one of the best play callers at Cincinnati last year. He's had some rough moments this year. The Florida State game to start the year was really bad. Just couldn't stop a nosebleed, really. But Notre Dame's defenses have gotten better. I mean, that was his first ever game between the headsets at Notre Dame. You can't really ever fully criticize any play caller just after one season. So I defend certain play callers for that. I'll say this. Jake Peetz has already packed his bags. It's kind of ironic because Jake actually just called his best game. I'm interested what Jay Hill thinks about this and everyone. Do you think Jake Peetz just called his best game? His first half versus Texas A&M was really good. It did help out that Ed Ingram was playing like a madman and really opened up some huge gaps for us to run through. And it opened up our play action game. We'll do a film study. Once again, we'll do that later in the week. But Durante has gotten better. So that's going to be a difficult decision for Brian Kelly. But I do think Marcus Freeman is going to look for a head coaching job. And I would not be shocked if Fickell says no. Notre Dame hands the keys to Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman's a really special talent. I think he's a leader of men. He was obviously incredible as a football player. He's really good football player at Ohio State. And I do think, they'll let him have their chance. You have to realize things are going to change for the better for BK with the recruiting he is going to get at LSU. Absolutely. Kiffin better than Kelly as a play caller or as a coach? Let's see. I think Max played one of his best games. He sat in the pocket and took some hits, which is needed to make big-time throws. Peetz wasn't on fire, but good play calling. I agree with you on that. But let me tell you this, okay? Let me change the poll question really quickly. Patrick Tomlinson. Good to have you back, man. Where have you been? I know you work like crazy, man, but it's good to hear from you, big dog. Patrick Tomlinson. Oh, the poll votes are almost up to 1,000. Let's go. Let's see. Jeff Levy has helped Kiffin out. Yeah, I think Levy's going to get some interest from Oklahoma and some of these other jobs. Not quite Oklahoma, but he'll get some interest. Okay. Kane, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. Huh? 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 I gotta say this. Uh Kane was calling for Ed Orgeron. Brian Kelly has, this is via Jason Starrett at ESPN. I believe he's at ESPN. Brian Kelly has 263 official wins as head coach. In either case, Pop Warner will be the only head coach in NCAA history to start a job with more career wins. So, yes, you can make the case that Brian Kelly is the most accomplished coach to ever be hired from another Power 5 job. You can make the case. Kiffin is pissed he has to stay in Oxford. I really do think Kiffin wanted the LSU job really bad. I really do. I don't think you troll LSU the way that you trolled them. I don't think you visit Arch the way that you visited Arch if you don't understand how important Louisiana recruits are for your program. To win national championships just through and through. In a way, I've done a lot of deep dives on this. Louisiana recruits are somewhat underrated. Huh? When you actually look at the ones that have actually been selected in the first round, some of them are 5 stars. A lot of them aren't 5 stars. It's pretty wild. Oh, did Citizen just jump back on? Did he? Let's see. Is independent Power 5? It's a good question. So it is interesting. Notre Dame's schedule. I'm going to bring this back up. So, Grant, I'm happy that you brought this back up. So, how difficult has Brian Kelly's schedules actually been at LSU? How difficult have they been? Not as difficult as you think. Okay. So every year, Brian Kelly has to play USC and Florida State, which is tough. Okay. When schedules are made that way, many years out, you schedule and you play Florida State and USC every year. They've been playing USC every year for so long now. Those schools still recruit in the top 25, and they've still been really bad. So this is the biggest red flag about Brian Kelly, okay? Cliff Notes version for the deeper dive tomorrow. So Brian Kelly since 2014. You guys know my favorite stat. There's better stats out there, EPA per play, whatever you want to use, okay? My favorite offensive stat is yards per play. Okay. How many yards do you average per play? Okay. The Brian Kelly contract, according to The Athletic, will be a 10-year, $100 million deal. Pretty cool stuff. 10 years, $100 million. Beautiful. Sam Spiegelman reports Corey Raymond is expected to remain on LSU staff and has informed 2022 and 2023 recruits. I think that was probably the odds-on favorite to stay. Okay? So, Brian Kelly has had an easier schedule because USC and Florida State have been so mediocre these past 5 years. Okay? So, Brian Kelly's gotten some luck with that. Also, yards per play. So, let me finish my thought here. That was obviously very newsworthy. Thank you for sharing, Mo Funky. So, Brian Kelly has averaged less than 5 yards per play 15 times since 2014. That's a lot. That's a pretty uncomfortable amount of yard per plays, under 5, 15 times since 2014. Okay. Now, a lot of those were against really good teams. Okay. 2018 Clemson. He played Georgia twice. LSU's mixed in there. So there's some good teams in there. But that's still not good, right? So in that same time period since 2014, Brian Kelly has averaged less than, or LSU has averaged less than 5 yards per play 23 times. So outside of 2019, LSU's offenses have been middle of the pack, if not worse, a lot of those years, despite having all these great athletes that we have, right? So I keep saying this. The offense is very broken. And Brian Kelly's going to have to fix it. And the biggest thing is Brian Kelly, now that he's got better players, is going to have to put up better games against these better teams. Okay? So we'll see. But for the most part, this is a great hire. And this is the most important thing as well. Walker Howard's going to be better than Deshaun Kaiser. Walker Howard's going to be better than Ian Book. Okay? Those are his 2 best quarterbacks. Everett Golston, you can make a case. Those are his 2 best. How good are those guys? They've made it on NFL rosters, but they're not that great. Okay? And welcome to the channel, Hayward Jr. Hope this is your first time. Last Airbender avatar. That's cool. That's my brother's favorite. He did beat us twice. He did. Absolutely. So who would want Dan Mullen for the offensive coordinator? Let me know. Type Y for yes, type in for no. If you are Dan Mullen for OC. Okay, this poll at 784 votes just ended. Kev Falk is staying. Okay, good. Brian, thanks for the follow on IG, my friend. Crap, what was the question I was going to bring up at the poll question? Go with a simple one for now. Tony! There's a lot of you that feel this way. Now, I don't know if it's LSU bias. I'm not on IG that much either. I look on there every now and then. 10-year, $100 million with incentives. Tracy Girlinghouse, welcome to the channel. Let's be real. What are the expectations do we give them, Carter? Your opinion. So that's why Cast a Legend with this lovely photo with your full family here, or with your 2 little ones here. I don't know what's in. Cast a Legend. That's why I put, I don't know. Let me get a sip of water. That's why I put that poll question up. Do you think LSU will reach the college football playoff in the next 3 years? Let's go with that. Cass, good to see you again, man. Felipe Franks as the offensive coordinator. Felipe Franks. Katie said a natty in 3. A natty. We don't want Florida guys on our team? What about Patrick Peterson? What about John Battle? That's a deep cut for you right there. What about Kevin Tolliver? LSU is most talented. They have a good shot of making the playoff in 3 years, Jesse. I know, Florida Gators. Ooh, King Ulysses, you're normally a really measured viewer. You're one of our smartest, most objective commenters. Talk to you on Twitter all the time. My guy all the way up in Denver, Colorado. Year 2 will be playing for a natty. A natty? So what about you, Cast the Legend? You're the one that asked the question. I'm so happy you're back. 6 out of 10 at the very highest. Jay, really? Really? Let me see when I was typing the poll question. Cheryl, good to see ya. Mr. Murph, good to see ya. If someone can recruit for Mullen, I wouldn't mind it. I think we tend to forget how badly Dan Mullen has tore our defense up every year. Not just some of the years, every year. Okay? This year, tore us up. Year before that, tore us up. Year before that, tore us up in the first half. So, yeah, I mean, Dan Mullen's elite as a play caller. Now, will his mind be cleared of what just happened? Not sure. I do think it's one of those situations where you might need to let him take a year off and go somewhere else. No, he's a Mississippi State Bulldog at heart. There are not a lot of Spencer Rattler fans on YouTube. I'm telling you. I think it comes down to how we recruit on the defensive end. Kelly will be productive on the offensive end. We got to focus on the D with Rick's transferring. Does Jacoby feel better about LSU now? Well, Jacoby Stevens is gone. No, I'm just kidding. I know you're talking about our guy, Jacoby Matthews, 1T. I know he released a tweet that said, boom. That would be a pretty impressive flip. I don't know if Jacoby Matthews is going to commit, though, until he sees who the defensive coordinator will be. Okay? Tough one to call for me, but at the moment, I feel like the sky's the limit. Definitely CFP in 3 years with the expansion. Okay. So I wrote the question with the 14 college football playoff model. You guys know how I feel about it. I hope the playoff stays at 4 forever. 6 wouldn't be bad. That's a different discussion for a different day. So, yes. Lost to us the last 2 years, bro. He isn't that good. Now, remember, I didn't say win the game. I said his offense has tore us up the last 2 years, which is an undeniable truth, right? Now, he had some slow starts, but he tore us up. And he tore us up when he had, Dak Prescott. Okay, so you have really pushed for A.J. Allen, okay? Here's the issue. I think he is a running back. I haven't really been able to watch his film. I know you've reached out to me quite a bit. I don't know if you are A.J. Allen or someone close to him. I don't know if you're a burner account, Kevin Durant style. But, Jay Hill was talking about this the other day, and he himself is a running back. Running back is probably the last position you need to get multiples of in recruiting, simply because it only one plays. And if I were LSU right now, freaking Jahmyr Gibbs is in the transfer portal. He is, to me, one of the most underrated running backs in the country. So I think LSU should get Jahmyr Gibbs. He would be the best running back on our team next year, no cap. He is one of the best. His high school tape looks like Alvin Kamara. He just went to Georgia Tech, and their offense is terrible. I would love me some Jahmyr Gibbs. For you guys that are diehard recruiting guys, I know Mo Funky's in here that actually watch a lot of recruiting. I've never seen a running back's tape quite like his. He looks just like Alvin Kamara. Now, he's not that good, but who is? He just looks like him. But the way he runs, the way he catches the football out of the backfield, you remember, dude, he was insane, dude. Insane. So I'm getting a lot of Marcus Freeman questions. And once again, your goal, and this has always been Freeman's goal from speaking to some people in the industry that I trust, he wants to be a head coach. So I think if I was Marcus Freeman, I would go to Notre Dame's brass right now and say, look, I'm here. I wasn't the one that scorned you. Remember, we showed you the report earlier that Max, where have you been? Let's effing go. Let's go, Max. Max is popping bottles in New York. He is currently in the bars in New York City. He's going to Times Square and yelling, we got him. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. McConaughey and Leo and Wolf of Wall Street. Whew. 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 Definitely a step up for Meadow. My only concern is how does he fit into the culture? Zack Evans is also in the portal. If you ever find a head coach who loves Zack Evans more than Ed Orgeron, tell me where that coach existed. Coach O sold his soul to try and get Zack Evans. And he's good. He's really good. You know what's interesting about Zack Evans, before we answer this question here from Max? His backup at TCU had near the same level of efficiency as Zack Evans, right? So it's very interesting. But Zack Evans in an LSU uniform would be really cool. Okay, better than Stoops. My only concern is how does he fit into the culture down there? I think he'll fit fine. Once again, if you're going from Notre Dame to LSU, obviously it's a completely different city. South Bend and Baton Rouge are basically two different countries. But obviously, we're looking at someone Catholic background. I understand that's, I'm not Catholic, but that's a big deal for a lot of people in Louisiana. There's a lot of Catholic high school football players that play in Louisiana as well. So that's obviously good. And I do know that there's quite a few Catholic boosters that go along with the program. Once again, though, it's still outside of that, it is a completely different world. Once again, I often say this about culture. And for those that actually played football in the chat, right? And just if you've played team sports, culture is very important, okay? Locker room culture, you hear that phrase all the time, okay? But I'm telling you, the best thing you can do to develop locker room culture is win. Locker room culture can kind of take care of itself if you win, okay? Now, there's a lot of people that win a lot and have bad locker room culture. Bobby Petrino is a good example of that, and it eventually will fall off. So you got to have good relationship with your assistants and your recruits and your players and all of that. But the most important thing for Brian Kelly to do, if he comes down here and wins 10 games every year, well, the culture is going to take care of itself. And this is a key thing, okay? Would I like LSU to be in a college football playoff the next 3 years? Absolutely. But the bottom line, okay, and, I'm Catholic and it's a big deal. It's a big deal, right? For a lot of people that are Catholic, right? It's a very Louisiana thing. Now, my mother's side of my family, all Catholic. So this is very key. Okay. When you win, everything takes care of itself. Scott, what's good? Winning develops culture. Players dictate culture. A coach counts for accountability. It's pretty simple. Anyone that's played team sports, once again, some of you have played on the Division I level. Some of us have played in high school, not just football, just any sport. When you win, everything just takes care of itself, right? Now, I do want to make one quick point here that we tend to think of every coaching hire similarly. I've never been able to say that word well because, once again, I graduated with a 2.7. One of the lowest GPAs ever of a manship school graduate. I'm sure they are so proud of me. But I do want to include this, and I do think it's important. The reason why this hire was so important, okay? And I want to get into the grade nonsense in Notre Dame as well. It's a really good super chat. I'm glad you brought it up. The bottom half of the SEC is really freaking good. It's really good, okay? Arkansas is really good. They have probably the best overall coaching staff, arguably in the West right now. If you account for head coach, OC, DC, all being home run hires that all kind of happen at the same time. They have really talented assistants there as well. They're going to be someone to mess with, right? Ole Miss, obviously, this is their best head coach they've had maybe ever. Mississippi State has the guy that has shaped modern offensive culture. Texas A&M has Jimbo Fisher recruiting at the top 5 level. Alabama's got who. Auburn has Brian Harsin, and probably the best first-year defensive coordinator in the SEC has been Derek Mason. Okay, Durante has made a run for it here at the end, but Derek Mason is just unreal. That's why this hire is so important, people. When Ed Orgeron was hired, Ed Orgeron had some bottom feeders in the SEC. Some people that weren't dedicating the right resources, not making the right hires. I'm telling you right now, everyone in the West is loaded with their coaching staffs right now, including us. Corey Raymond getting back is a really big deal. We'll see what happens with Mickey Joseph. But the bottom half of the SEC can beat you on any given Saturday, right? Arkansas had a chance to drive down the field and beat freaking Alabama in Tuscaloosa recently. Arkansas's got probably the highest drafted SEC player in the NFL draft this next year. The West is loaded. You had to get this hire right. So, even if you don't think Brian Kelly's the absolute best, this is a different SEC than when Ed Orgeron and even when Les Miles was hired, right? So no Notre Dame grade nonsense setting him back in recruiting, top 3 or 4 in recruiting each year now with consistency with W and L's. Woo! Absolutely. So, yeah, I agree with that. Notre Dame's got really high standards. I've listened. A few Notre Dame players have a podcast on Colin Cowherd's network, and they've shared a few things on the volume that's very interesting about how different it is to play at Notre Dame, and how different it is just to be a Division I college athlete. It's been very interesting. I haven't listened to a whole lot. I've listened to a few clips that they've released, and Notre Dame is just so different. Whereas LSU is more like Georgia and Alabama, where it's strictly about football, right? LSU, we're all about football. Win any way you want it. You can boil it, grill it, fry it, saute it, barbecue it. Any Bubba Gump shrimp reference you want to do it, any way you win, you'll take it. BK seems like a no distractions guy. LSU has been a mess off the field. So this is going to be where things get interesting. So LSU has been a mess off the field. So is Brian Kelly. He's had a few mishaps, and it is a part of the equation, right? And I wanted to do this about an hour in anyway. Max, thank you for another super chat. But let me discuss some of the serious things. So back in 2010, there was a young man during a windy practice, a 50-mile-per-hour practice, and Brian Kelly wanted to practice outside, and it turned out to be deadly for the young man. Okay. There's also some sexual assault stuff that has been in Brian Kelly's past, and that's going to be a part of this hire. Brian Kelly's going to be asked about it, as will Scott Woodward. Now, once again, those are very serious things. LSU should be investigated for any wrongdoing, okay? But as I always say with the serious stuff, it's very serious. I don't take it lightly. But you guys are here to look at the LSU Tigers win football games, right? Players that do wrongdoings, things should be investigated. Players should be given second chances, whatever. You can look at things on a case-by-case basis. The bottom line, and this is the most important thing, does Brian Kelly answer those things right? If he does, keeps things cleaned up, everything should be fine as far as distractions are concerned. Now, as him as a football coach, it does seem like Brian Kelly's all football all the time, okay? Will he retire the moment he gets a natty, though? At that point, who cares? I mean, if he wins a natty, I mean, we would be the most spoiled fan base of all time, really. Bobby, good to see you. Welcome. Stewart to A&M. Shamar Stewart. Wait, really? Did that just happen? BK hit the gritty. Who hired Joe Brady? Oh, Evan Stewart. Oh, the 5-star receiver? Good for everyone. No, thank you. No, thank you for the very generous Finball. I really appreciate that, man. Have a drink on me. Let's celebrate. Celebrate good time. Come on. We got a party going on right here. Haley wants to say hi to everyone in the chat. You can bring Z, baby. So quit asking. That's still my favorite internet Nick Saban thing. So quit asking. How can you say that, though, to Maria Taylor? Really? Really? So quit asking. Not happy with Brian Kelly as a head coach, but would still rather Carter be the head coach. There's a piece of me that always wanted to get into coaching. Oh, my goodness. Nobody move. Nobody move. Boom. No. Did I get the 369 in the chat? No. No, please tell me I got it in that photo. I have to know. Did I get 369? Yes, I got it. I got it. I love it. So the Athletic is reporting Kelly's deal is worth more than $100 million. Shout out to all my 3-6 Mafia and 369 dang girl fine. Let's go. BK. Let's go. I just got word that Brian Kelly's about to hop on the live stream. Kidding. That would be pretty cool, though. Can you believe it? Get low. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low to the window. Doc says, so does this mean we're not getting prime time? Deion Sanders for defensive coordinator. Hey, I'm going to watch AJ Allen's tape. I'm going to write it down on my trusty note sheet right here. All right, everybody. Somebody wants to say hi to you. It's going to be brief. Come on. There we go. Z, baby. Look at the Z, baby. Look at her. She's ready to go.
You just don't hold her.
No, she doesn't want to. It took Boog a while to get used to the thing. See, I told you. Is she biting? Hey,
everybody.
Z,
Who even is this guy? Who even is he?
Brian Kelly. He's a beast. I know. I got to go check out AJ Allen now, too. Chip Kelly. Exactly, Chris. That is who they hired. After UCLA beat us down.
No, she doesn't bite her face as bad.
There's King Robert right there.
Hello.
And the Master Blaster. And hey. Guy says he's already ready for baseball season. So let me ask you this.
She's getting you.
Who here thinks, I know somebody wanted to talk quarterback play. Type Y for yes, type N for no.
Hey, Robert.
Will Max Johnson be the starting quarterback next season?
Oh, goodness.
What's the yawn for?
Did you hear it?
Type Y for yes, type N for no.
Hey, Jared.
Jay Hill, we had some carne asada. What's up? Hey, there's Jared in Bama. No. Big Al says hi. Rob.
Hey, Big Al.
ASAP Justice, he was at the PHL meetup. Reppin' Zachary, home of the best PHL viewers. Kidding. Jeremy says no. Minnesota says, Minnesota Steve. I love that name. Minnesota Steve, I need to see what a Minnesota Steve looks like. Haley wanted me to tell you guys this.
What?
We want to see actual photos. We're tired of this the letter nonsense.
Oh, on their avatars?
On their avatars. We want to see your faces. Reggie, I want to see your face. Bye, babe. Bye, Z, baby.
Come on, man.
Z's excited for Brian Kelly, as you guys can tell. But carne asada is on the stove tonight. I know you guys always wait till the end of the video. You guys remember at the end of one of the videos, I did not put what we were having for dinner. And there was quite a few of you that were angry about that. Wait, Kyle Hamilton? Wait, did you guys see this? Huh? This is the best safety in college football. All right, let me show you guys this right here. Okay. And he's currently, no, the super chat and the Venmo. I appreciate you, big dog. I got to say this, our New York viewers are some of our most generous viewers, right? Boom. Kyle Hamilton. That's their best player on Notre Dame. Kyle Hamilton coming to DBU? I love it. I freaking love it. So I guess that was 07? That's cool. Carter, I'm nervous, excited about the hire, but I do feel better. Days are ahead of us, and it's a big no for Johnson. Bring a QB in for next year. Spencer Rattler. The menu is a must. Absolutely. I don't think a lot of you are, dude, I'm telling you, Spencer Rattler has some major haters on YouTube. Nobody likes how arrogant he is. I don't know. I think that documentary where he was like messing around with some of his receivers just rubbed people the wrong way. But Max Johnson is definitely a beast. I think Max Johnson is going to come out and win the Heisman next year. Kidding. But Max played like a beast versus Texas A&M. Some of his flaws are still, intact from this weekend. But I got to say this. Max can still be a 10-win quarterback in the SEC. I do believe it. I don't think he can win you a college football playoff. Is he really worth what we're paying him, though? So, Jarvis, thank you so much for the generous super chat there, my friend. And I want to show you guys this right here because I do want to touch on this. Look at that. Let me put it up right here. There you go. See a little better right there. So is he really worth what we are paying him? Okay. So the cool thing about paying coaches is that there is no salary cap. Okay. The people that are paying the salary are more than likely boosters writing the checks. So I don't know about you. I don't worry about coaches' salaries in college football because you get what you pay for, and you also, you don't always get what you pay for. Ask Arizona about Kevin Sumlin or ask Arkansas about Chad Morris. You don't always get what you pay for. But the truth is, $10 million is a bargain, right? This is the best coach to ever leave a Power 5 program for another Power 5 program based on total wins. Okay. So I'm not saying Brian Kelly's the best coach ever. And of course, Nick Saban is the best coach to go from one program to the NFL to another or whatever. But the point is still the point, is that $10 million a year for a guy who has more wins than anyone else is not that much. It's not that much at all. Let's see. Chris, you updated the profile photo. That's a good one, man. Hanging out with the kiddo. I love it, man. I love photos. With all the super dads in the channel, if you are a dad, you are very important. I was lucky to have a really, really awesome father in my life. So all the super dads that are out there. Jason, one of our top super dads, isn't in the chat tonight. And he is the king of the Max Johnson fan club. So I wish Jason was in here. He's one of our super dads. Carvis is one of our super dads. We've got a bunch of super dads in here. And speak of the devil, Kelly's offensive lines have been elite for years. Okay. I know Jay Hill can speak for this. He was a great running back, but it did help out that Lyle Collins was right there in front of him, right? You got to have holes, man. You just do. If you don't have holes, notice what happened to TDP. It's amazing. You know how much better he became when he had holes to run through? TDP had Mack truck holes to run through versus Florida. It helps. It helps, right? Scheme helps. And those holes, man, got to have them. And Notre Dame's offensive lines have been the best in college football under Brian Kelly. Definitely top 5 position group, Brian Kelly's offensive line. So there you go. Definitely a proud super dad. I will say this, though, and this is key for Jonathan. Notre Dame's offensive line hasn't been the best this year. Now, full disclosure, I haven't watched a whole lot of Notre Dame. I just haven't. I watched a little bit of that Cincinnati game, but I just haven't watched a whole lot of them this year. Their offensive line has not been as good as the other years. We'll put it like that. Trey, I shouted you out earlier. It's good to have you in here. Glad the search is done. The next chapter begin now. Let's go. Trey holding it down. There you go. Joe Brady. Oh, God. Joe Brady's going to be his offensive coordinator. I would think this is true. Kobe's a super dad. You are Kobe Guillory. I do think these rumors are true. Okay. This has been the big thing, though. And as many of you know, LSU, especially under Les Miles, okay, Ed Orgeron, actually, that was probably his most underrated position group, which was tight end. I've got to say this, Ann. LSU's history with tight ends just isn't the absolute best, right? It's Richard Dixon, Foster Moreau, Thad Moss, obviously Jack Bech now, Eric Gilbert last year, sore subject. But yes, we do need a tight end boost. It does help having Mason Taylor and I almost said Jack Johnson. Does help having some elite tight ends in the pipeline, right? So we're pretty pumped up about it. And this is basically it. Running backs have to have holes to run through, okay? Or even more importantly than that, you got to have a play caller to give you more open holes to run through or be less predictable, right? As far as where you're actually going to run the football. So there you go. Can we really count Bech as a tight end? Not really. I mean, he's not like a traditional, like Richard Dixon type. But I will say this. Jack Bech's blocking has been pretty good. I know a lot of you watch film as well. Bech, for have never been a inline blocker, has actually done a decent job as a blocker. Texas A&M, there were a few rough spots, but then, A&M's one of the few, A&M's defensive line is better than, it's probably the best defensive line LSU's played this year. Now, Bama's is always going to have a good defensive line, but that group isn't as good as the other Bama defensive lines. Tell me how to pronounce your name. Hagi. Haggy or Haggai? Because I have a friend whose last name is Hagi and they pronounce it Haggai. Yeah. So tell me this. You get to pick the next comment. Haggy, Haggai, or Haji. Is it Haji? One of my favorite soccer players of all time, El Hadji Diouf, for my diehard soccer fans. Liverpool great. Dang, that's a really nice Venmo. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Antoine, thank you so much, man. We got some booger bands to send out tomorrow, guys. We got to order some more. So Marcus Freeman runs a variation of the 3-4. Once again, I haven't watched a whole lot of Notre Dame this year. So I go to Jonathan Lewis, who is more national as far as his college football coverage is concerned. And he said the offensive line hasn't been as good this year. I haven't really watched Notre Dame since that Florida State game, but their defense has gotten better. I just want whatever Durante's doing. Durante should stay. So this is going to be really key, KJ. And this is something that really, in all actuality, only Durante can answer, right? Ed Orgeron's at 38, enjoying his life. Go on ahead, Coach O. You live your life, man. But Durante needs to be asked about how the defense was called this year. Okay. Is it actually true that Lane Kiffin fixed the defense? Okay. I have a tough time believing that Ed Orgeron was the one who said, look, we got to switch things up. He might have said that, but this is one of those weird things. Wait, hold on. Mike Bobo's out? Who could have seen that coming? I'm kidding. I never understood the Mike Bobo thing at Auburn to begin with. I think overall he did better than what I actually thought. I thought Auburn's offense was going to be a bit of a disaster this year. There were some bad games, but there were also some really good games. Unfortunately, one of it was against ours, and a lot of it had to do with what Roby's talking about, guys. Our basic defense. I'm telling you, so many people came after me this offseason because I kept talking about Ed Orgeron's 4-3 defense. And people kept coming after me and saying, well, Carter, do you know that a lot of teams run 4 down linemen? My point was never about the 4-3 or the 3-4. This is universal in any sport. You can't run the same play every time. You just can't do it. Unless you're Kevin Durant or Dirk Nowitzki, you can't run the same play every time. Okay? And even then, those guys switch it up. Right? Their fadeaway jumper is unstoppable. You can't do anything to stop it. But even those guys, even though they can get that shot whenever they want, they switch it up. Our defense was running the same exact play every time. That's something Marcus Freeman does a really good job of. He gives you so many different looks. So if it's true that Lane Kiffin was the one that called Ed Orgeron and said, look, you can't do this. You're committing. What you're doing is nefarious. You shouldn't run the same defense every time. My biggest issue with that is how was that not fixed after the Mississippi State game last year? It should not have taken until you actually were given the axe to figure this out. But we're talking about the future, not the past. I've done 1,000 videos on this, so we'll move along in the future. Okay? And this is essentially it. It's got to be multiple. It also helps out if you have Will Anderson. But hear me out. BJ Ojolari, Will Anderson type production next year. Fingers crossed. BJ having a full offseason working as a standing multiple player. Let's do it, man. You rock a single-digit number, BJ. You know you got it in you. Let's go, BJ Ojolari. Let's go. Let's go. CBS is reporting Notre Dame is meeting with Kelly. So this live stream could be off or not until the pen is signed to paper. Huh? IGF, good to hear from you, man. Durante bawled after firing Coach O. He did. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. You changed your profile photo, and it doesn't get better than this, man. You guys know it. So you guys know how our profile photo rankings go, okay? So number 1, Cody, if you're still in here, Cody Urinda has a PHL shirt on in his profile photo, okay? So Cody Urinda, congratulations, you are number 1. Now, Greg, I don't know if Greg is still in here. He is number 2 because he is with his significant other with Tiger Stadium in the background. But Mr. Bradley, where have you been? This photo is fantastic, man. You and your significant other or someone you are close to in the photo, smiling, rocking the LSU gear. I love it, man. Look at that smile. Look at that smile, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. Big Al. Now, that's a great photo. Look at that beard. Once again, it is down to Big Al and Antoine for the best beard on the channel. And Big Al is currently number 1. Antoine has the best mustache on the channel. Antoine's mustache game is insane. Now, Antoine, if you're still in here, comment so I can put your photo up because your mustache game is Crazy. Yes, it already has Titus. Walker Howard is for sure coming now. So, Hagee Bradley. I did not think that that's how the pronunciation was going to be. Hagee. Heard the same thing. I'm reading it's a 10-year, $100 million deal. King Ulysses, your photo is great. You got the headphones going on. You got the backpack on. We could do a little better, though, with the background and some LSU gear. You are also a member of the PHL T-shirt club. Also, I know who has the best eyebrows. Me? I don't know if I have the best eyebrows. I got a monobrow, though. Haley always gets on me about my monobrow. A little bit earlier, I had a big hair sticking out of this. Tasha, where have you been? Tasha. Where have you been? Tasha. Good to hear from you again, my friend. Tasha Tiger. All right. So Brian Kelly just released a statement to the players. So he's going to address the players tomorrow at 7. This is a player sharing this information. Okay. So this is Coach Kelly. Go Tigers. Okay, so Noel has moved up in the rankings. My profile pic is my son watching your film breakdowns. I love it. Look, you guys are looking at Noel's son right here. The next Joe Brady right there. That's the next Durante Jones, Dave Aranda right there studying some PHL film. I love it. How cool would Michael Mayer be? Michael Mayer is a beast, man. He also looks like the villain in every single Disney movie, Michael Mayer. I don't know why I made that reference, but he just does. Men, first, let me apologize for the late night text and more importantly, for not being able to share the news in person. I'll be leaving Notre Dame. I'm flying back to South Bend tonight to be able to meet with you in the morning, but the news broke late today, and I'm sorry you found out through social media or news reports. I'll have more to share when we meet tomorrow at 7 a.m., but for now, just know that my love for you is limitless, and I'm so proud of all that you have accomplished. Our program is elite because of your hard work and commitment, and I know you will continue. I will share more in the morning when we meet. Again, my sincere apologies for not being able to meet and share the news with you in person. This would be weird. How awkward would it be if Georgia wins and Cincinnati loses and Notre Dame is in the playoffs? It would be wild, right? Here's the thing about it. I'm glad you brought this up, Jay Hill. Notre Dame's got a shot, okay? Let's not act like let me put it this way, okay? Now, some of you might disagree with what I'm about to say, and that's fine. Okay, so Georgia's team this year is as good as a lot of the teams that have won national championships in the past. But are they better than 2020 Alabama? I don't think so. Are they better than 2019 LSU? I don't think so. Are they better than 2018 Clemson? I don't think so. Because I don't think their offense has the same firepower as any of those offenses. Now, I will say Stetson Bennett is very underrated. Brock Bowers is probably going to win the Mackey, or Michael Mayer. Mayer actually didn't get the finalists. I think Jalen Werdermeyer for Texas A&M has a good shot. But the point is this. I am not to the point where Georgia is so good that they're unbeatable, right? I just don't feel that way about them. I'm a little skeptical about some of the offenses they have faced this year. So I will say this. Cincinnati's not going to win the college football playoff. Okay? They're just not. Desmond Ridder is a good, not great quarterback. No, I'd say he's a very good quarterback. And I'll also say that Cincinnati, in their one game versus a Power 5 team this year versus Indiana, they didn't look that good. I watched that whole game. They just didn't look that good. Kind of lucky to win it. And Indiana was bad this year. Now, I will say this, though. Alabama's not that good. They're just not. Michigan, they look really good. If they win and they're in, good for them. But it is not far-fetched to think that Cincinnati couldn't actually get it done this year. And I don't even think Cincinnati's that good. It's just I don't see a team this year in college football that I don't think can't trip up, right? Because I just don't know Georgia offensively. And once again, Georgia's offense is very underrated. I've used this stat a lot. They are top 10 in yards per attempt. They're really good at attacking vertically, and now they have George Pickens back. Georgia's really good. But it's not as if Notre Dame couldn't find a way to get it done this year, right? It is not out of the question. They did beat them. But it's not out of the question that Notre Dame couldn't find a way to get it done. Okay? Hey, G, I better be seeing you around here more often, man. Good to see you. Ellis Wade, what's good? Welcome to the channel. Ellis has a nice photo. I like that. Look at the smiles there. Really good stuff. Look at Chris's photo. Got the bookshelf in the background. Look at very studious, man. Chris, you got to be a lawyer with all these books in the background. It's either books or it's either those look like some pretty old books. I think those are the original Lord of the Rings books, like the books that J.R.R. Tolkien actually wrote in. Those books look old, but you guys know if you have old books in the shelf, like you guys know what I'm talking about, the old books, like books that you know have a little bit of asbestos and whatever, it's old. Those are like some old books back there, Chris. But that means you're smart. That means you're wise. I like it. Will Kelly be an elite recruiter? I hope so. I hope so. Getting a lot of comments here. So cool. We hit 600 viewers. That's really cool earlier. We're at 257 now. These are diehard. You got to look at yourself wherever you are right now. I want you to look at yourself in the mirror. And if you don't have a mirror, look at yourself in the hand. Look at yourself in the hand and say, I am an LSU diehard tackle football fan. Let's go. Once again, I'm going to say that for all our new viewers, if you're look at you, look at yourself. You're a diehard. You're a diehard. You live and breathe this stuff. And if you're one of those people, I guarantee you this channel is going to be for you. This channel is not to state the obvious LSU stuff. We go deep, man. We go super deep. We talk about Carnell Hatcher on this channel. We talk about RJ Jackson. We talk about Daniel Graff on this channel. Not often, but we do. Okay? We do. New profile pic PHL for life. Master Blaster. Look at this photo right here. Jason at Alec Box Stadium. Got one kid in a football jersey. Now, is that a Jamar Chase jersey? Is that a Brandon LaFell jersey? Is that a Quantavius Leslie jersey? Is that a Dante Jackson jersey? Is that a Kayshon Boutte jersey? Tell me. I'm just kidding. There's so many great number ones at LSU. It's kind of hard to say. We have shown with the last 2 championships that we can win with talent and minimum coaching. Thoughts? I agree with that. I mean, look, I will say this. Ed Orgeron did a better job with the 2019 team than Les Miles did with the 2007 team, right? So if you want to get deep into it, so the 2007 LSU National Championship team, my pinned tweet right now, this photo gave me chills. I'm a former defensive tackle. I was a freshman when LSU won the title in 2007. So I kind of looked up to Marlon Favorite and Glenn Dorsey. So they had a photo together at Tiger Stadium, and it gave me chills. And it was really cool to see Glenn Dorsey have his moment this weekend. Now, I don't think Les did a good job coaching the 07 team, right? They dominated their first 2 opponents, and then for the rest of the year, they didn't dominate anybody. They had to come back a lot. And a lot of that had to do with coaching. I don't think Les did a good job mixing things up. And we were very lucky to have a lot of experienced players who were really good at performing under pressure. We were down double digit in 6 games, and we won all 6 of them. I think that's right. I did some research on this a long time ago, so it's a little fuzzy. We obviously lost 2 games, the only 2-loss national champion of the modern era. So, Ed did a better job in 2019, but he wasn't the brains behind the operation per se as far as the play calling is concerned. But I do agree. Your major point is true, though, Tony. That's a Jamar Chase jersey. Oh, man. Yeah, I would say Jamar Chase. I like it. Jamar Chase is probably the best Uno. That's tough, though. Dante Jackson's probably watching this and saying, dadgummit, this chubby Bruno Mars looking dude is not giving me my respect. Dante Jackson's up there. He's underrated. You want to know who's underrated? Christian Fulton. Also wore that number 1 jersey. Christian Fulton, K-Baby. They were hating on him early. He had to wait his turn to play. Then he came back for an extra year. Moved from number 22 to that number 1 jersey because Kevin Joseph transferred. I love me some Christian Fulton. Very underrated. Derek Stingley got the headlines, but Christian Fulton, so freaking underrated. Really good in the national championship game. Really good in big spots. You guys know Christian Fulton. The real ones know. The real PHLers know how freaking underrated Christian Fulton was. He just got out there and made plays, man. Johnny says this is a bad hire. LJ and KO, my ride or dies in this thing. Let's go. Let's check the poll question here. Oh, man, I hate the way that this. So I can't see the poll question when I'm in the thing. So I don't know how many votes we're at. I'm going to let them load up. It's kind of weird. Is ex-LSU offensive lineman and Monroe native Rob Sale the front man at UL Lafayette? It is interesting. I saw Rich Rod got a head coaching job today. That was kind of strange. Jacksonville State. It's still so weird that Rich Rod probably goes to bed every night saying, you know what, I could have taken the Alabama job. Imagine how different our lives are. I'm serious. Our lives if Rich Rod would have taken the Alabama job instead of Saban. But I want to know more about this comment. Dante Jackson was the king of ankle tackles, asked Brian Kelly. That is true. Bruno Mars is very handsome, rich, and I've played his new album with Anderson .Paak over 20. Man, that's Silk Sonic. You guys, I'm a Bruno fan. That's where me and Haley went for her first birthday when we were her first birthday. That's kind of weird. No, our first year dating. I took her to go see Bruno in Dallas, and it happened the day of her birthday. It was so cool. My fit was so fly. I wore a Vince Carter Toronto Raptors throwback because Bruno's always rocking those throwback jerseys. Let's see here. So someone said they don't like the Brian Kelly hire. Totally get it. This is a good thing about the channel is on this channel, you can say and be critical as long as it's fair of LSU. You can be. What you can't say is this from Kane. Kane, even though we've never met, even though you and I are pretty close, there's no Bruno Mars slander allowed on this channel. Tony, you have that in your office? Huh? I'm not gonna lie, Tony. I like your photo better because it's actually you, but this is not bad, man. That's a cool little Glenn Dorsey thing. I think that's just his. I think he took that photo. That's probably like a Glenn Dorsey shrine at the College Football Hall of Fame. I'm glad it's up there. Drexel says, look, I'm back, a Tiger fan. Freaking love it, Drexel. Why him? I like this photo here from DJ Bucci showing off those muscles. Ugh, I got to get back in the gym. Jay Hill, when we going to work out, my guy? I think I could beat Jay Hill in a race. I really can. If I had to go 20 and he had to go 40 yards. He would still beat me, though. Yes, so cool. That's from the College Football Hall of Fame. I still want to go. You want to know what's weird? So I was still doing media at the time, or I was still doing like local radio. And I drove to SEC Media Days thinking that I was going to get, a pass. I go every year, or I used to go every year. And it was when I was doing local radio, get all the way to the College Football Playoff Museum where they were having SEC Media Days, and they wouldn't give me a pass. I was sad. I was so excited, too, because I'd always wanted to go to the College Football Hall of Fame. So my dream one day is to get to do just a PHL live stream and get to see from the College Football Hall of Fame. I think it's pretty cool. It would be really cool to go see it. And just get to do one back there. I know J-Boy gets to do a show there from every day, and that's just so cool. Thank you, Trey. Look, I'm over 40, but I could still admit that Bruno has mad talent. Thank you. Thank you. Bruno's live performances at award shows are also very underrated. Tony! Okay, now this, dang, your photos are getting better and better. I like it. It's a pretty cool place. I love it. Look at that smile right there, Tony. I love it. Drexel. Drexel left the program after the Les Miles press conference after the Natty. Lonnie, thank you for the generous Venmo. I appreciate it. So I want to talk about that. Okay. I was actually sitting next to Bobby Hebert when the festivities began in that press conference. I was a young reporter. I was shaking when Bobby Hebert just tore into Les Miles. And remember, Bobby Hebert is not like a working member of the press. He's like actually into it. Biggest LSU fan you'll meet. His son played for the program, obviously. And Bobby asked the Jared Lee question. And because I was on the front row with him, and my insides just started blowing up. I was like, holy crap. Is there I thought Bobby wanted to go up there and rip Les Miles' trachea out. I've never seen it. So, Vernon. Okay, so Vernon is our resident Auburn expert. I don't like it. So, Vernon, you know how I felt about Brian Harsin. I also didn't like Brian Harsin. First thing, Vernon, I know you were furious. You are like me. Thank you for the super chat, Vernon. You're like me, Vernon. I wanted Brian Harsin to go for the 2 and the win. I'm so pissed after the first overtime that they didn't run that tight end screen. I was so pissed. Why would you not run it after the first overtime if you know it's going to work? God. But Brian Harsin kicked the extra point, which doesn't make sense. It never made sense. You always go for 2 and the win, right? Right? But anyway, Vernon, tell me, do you not like the hire from an Auburn perspective because you think Brian Kelly's going to be good? But I think you're saying that you don't like the hire because you don't like the hire because you don't think it's going to be good. KJ, it's the exact opposite. We want a neutral viewpoint, right? We're all LSU fans. So even if I thought Brian Kelly wasn't a great hire, I would give you honest opinion, but there's always going to be a piece of you that says, well, I think it's going to work out because I want it to work out so bad. So Vernon, who actually runs a very successful YouTube channel himself, I'm interested to know. Okay, so tell me this, Vernon. I don't like the hire because it's not the next level hire you need. Why is Brian Kelly not next level? Now, once again, don't flame him for it. This is a pretty bold thing to go with 250 LSU fans from an Auburn channel. And I don't want people to go spam Vernon's channel saying, quit hating on our coach, because I did the same thing about Vernon's coach. I wasn't on fire about Brian Harsin. I didn't like the Mike Bobo hire, and I wasn't on fire about Derek Mason. Derek Mason has obviously proven to be very wrong. He's really good. I hated the Mike Bobo hire. I didn't really understand the Brian Harsin thing. So let me know. Let me know. Exactly. You go for 2, even if you don't have anything to lose. Here's my view as a coach, right? And I want dissenting opinions, right? And this is coming from someone that's been very critical of Ed Orgeron during this offseason. I mean, I was flaming Ed Orgeron last year, and I got some very unkind messages, some very uncomfortable messages. Comes with the territory when you could be critical, right? So I like that Vernon is saying what he is saying because I want an outside perspective. There's a lot of LSU fans that don't like this hire. They just don't. This is kind of funny. He's an Auburn fan. What does he know about a next level hire? I actually, that's pretty accurate. I actually did like Gus. I didn't like some of the other things that Gus did, though. Gus made some really bad coordinator hires. Kevin Steele was good, but Chad Morris, really, Gus? With your career on the line? Guys, I'm not even sipping Zima tonight. I'm not an Auburn fan. I'm an analyst. There you go. So, Vernon, let me know why. Let me know why you think he's not next level. Coach O. Coach O and 30A with the Bud Light Go Tigers. Coach O changed his name to Edward. I like it. No, okay. Brantley, I walked by your tailgate looking for you. I did. I didn't text you because I'm a horrible human being. Kool-Aid. No, it is not. What is this? Haley just makes it. It's like a Crystal Light package, and she puts some, like, she sprays some like orange stuff in here. By the way, as much as I don't like Alabama, I do respect the heck out of them. Kool-Aid McKinstry is still the coolest nickname of all time. And the fact that that guy got a Kool-Aid deal the first year of the NIL, there is no way you can't tell me that a true freshman defensive back, 5-star from the state of Alabama, gets that #1 jersey in the same year with the nickname Kool-Aid. In the first year of the NIL, you get a Kool-Aid sponsorship. Anything he does the rest of his career will never be as cool as that. Aaron, you know I don't like this because every time, Aaron, you jump on my live stream, you give me the let's go. Let's go, Van. Let's go. Brian Kelly, let's go. I love it, man. College football coaching is the only thing we'll ever say if someone got hired and we say, well, he's only 60. Oh, man. Here's the thing, though, okay? Is Brian Kelly a Raising Cane's guy? You get the 10-year, $100 million deal, and you know Raising Cane's always drops a bag for ever sponsorship. The worst thing Brian Kelly, I hope someone asked Brian Kelly at his opening press conference, do you know anything about Raising Cane's? That they better inform Brian Kelly. Brian, just say the sauce is excellent. And if they ask you about Raising Cane's and you don't know a thing about it, just say, sub out the slaw for extra toast. I've never met a human being that doesn't do that. Like if you're one of those people that eats the slaw instead of getting the extra toast or the extra sauce, what kind of world do you live in? Go live in South Bend. Go live in Antarctica. Because you're not from Louisiana if you don't sub that slaw out. Bailey's. Dang, King Tut. I didn't know this was a Comedy Central roast on my hair, man. Like I'm meeting up with my barber tomorrow to get my shape up. God, dog, I do need one bad. God, look at this, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. This is also true. Doc, thank you for always being really active in our chat during games. I'm just glad we didn't get jumbo. Coach O did get – Coach O's like the biggest coleslaw guy. I think that's true. Jordan Mickey, the LSU power forward. PLG, you want some Canes? I don't live near Canes, which sucks. Van, what about out in LA? I heard actually Canes is like the most popular in Los Angeles. I heard Canes is like dominated California. Get that Obama. That is essentially what I get. 8 Canes for dinner. Jaden Mickey. You don't like the toast? OG? Ooh. OG, the beard. Big Al, are you still watching? Big Al, are you still watching? OG said, look, I'm growing my beard out for PHL, and I want to challenge Big Al and Antoine for the best facial hair on this channel. We have 5 or 6 in Denver. Yeah, they did get Snoop Dogg, man. God, Todd Graves is a beast, man. All right, so here we go. Vernon, objective opinion here. I think he'll be no different than Jimbo Fisher. He will recruit well because it's LSU, but I don't think it's a fit. I don't at all dislike LSU, but this may not end well. So I could say Vernon has definitely supported this channel, not only with his comments, but also financially. And I appreciate you that. Appreciate you, Vernon. I could see this. I could see it. Once again, you'll see in my deep dive tomorrow that Brian Kelly, his offenses do have a tendency to lay a stinker in big spots. They just do. Okay? And I think part of what has made the Nick Saban empire so freaking good is that Nick Saban himself doesn't actually have to call offensive plays, because the most important thing that you have to do as a coach is to make sure your offensive play calling is good, right? It's hard. It's hard. Okay. So I do agree that there are some challenges that lies ahead for Brian. So Kobe, who's an LSU fan, says, I agree with Vernon. Dang, the Master Blaster is switching up his photos. Now this is here with a little one. That's good. The Master Blaster has changed his photo 4 times. I love it. You're just changing your outfit, man. This is Tiffany Haddish hosting the Oscars kind of stuff. I love it. Or has she hosted the Oscars? Who's a host that changes their outfits the most when they do award shows? I don't remember who. So here's the thing, Tony. This is the funny thing about coaches, okay? The ones you think will succeed are sometimes the ones that don't, okay? Here's a perfect example. Perfect example, okay? Let's take Ed Orgeron, all right? That's your grandbaby. I love it. So let's take Ed Orgeron, for instance. I love Ed Orgeron, right? Personally, he's a great coach. There's a lot of things he's done well, but there's also a lot of things he didn't do well at the final 2 years, okay? A lot. There's a laundry list, all right? Now, here's what's interesting about Coach O is when he was hired, it was universal that he was a bad hire. The national media destroyed him when LSU made the hire, right? They failed on Jimbo. They failed on Tom Herman. And Ed Orgeron coached the greatest team of all time. Now, the national media did turn out to be right. But still, Coach O was good in 2017, better in 2018, and as good as you can be in 2019. 2020, 2021, the national championship ruined him in many ways, right? So here's the thing, and it's very key to keep this in mind, okay? There is no recipe for who actually succeeds and who doesn't in coaching, okay? So even though Brian Kelly is the winningest coach to ever leave a program and go to another one, according to that stat we saw earlier, it's still a question mark. There's a lot, right? There's a lot of off the field things you have to worry about with this past. Not anything nefarious that's happened really in the last year or two, but there are some things, and on the field, there are some questions about his offense, right? Okay, So here's Johnny's logic. Okay. And I want to go, if you are not a Kelly fan, please comment. Because I think a lot of you wanted Lane Kiffin, who just proved that he can win 10 wins in a season. Jay Hill was in here earlier. He obviously knows way more about football than I do. And he wanted Lane Kiffin because of his great offense, right? A lot of you who are really sharp football minds wanted Lane Kiffin to be the next head coach. And there's a lot of you that says, look, I don't want to coach unless they have coached in the SEC before. Okay? I would say this. Kelly has not proven he could beat SEC teams, let alone play a whole season against them. First thing is, has Brian Kelly had good enough athletes to play Clemson and Alabama? The answer to that is yes. Now, they're not on their same level, but Brian Kelly in those matchups outside of Clemson in 2020 has been beaten down, bludgeoned, if you will. Okay. Now, a lot of it has to do with the in-books limitations, right? But the truth is, Brian Kelly has laid a lot of offensive stinkers. So there is some skepticism. And also, Johnny's profile photo is a dog, and you guys know how I am about dogs. Okay? You want a Kiffin? You want a Napier? Okay? $256 just said, I just wanted a coach that wanted LSU. So one of the most underrated comedians is Lil Rel Howery. In his last special, he did a really good joke about older people on dating apps. I just want to be loved. Lil Rel is so freaking underrated. Now, I say he's underrated. He's like in every movie now. And he was on Snoop Dogg's Sunday Night Football show. But I just want to be, I just laughed so hard at that. I just want to be loved. I just want to be loved. The Master Blaster changed his photo again. I love it, man. I can't wait to meet you, man. Master Blaster's just going through his photos and like, you're going to get posted and you're going to get posted and you're going to get posted. And this is the truth from Van. Brian Kelly is the best coach in the United States of America. I agree. For tonight. There's 2 times when you are the best coach ever at your school. Before you start and when you win a national championship. There's no in between. Ed says no one is happier with this hire than Alabama fans. Ed, welcome to the channel. My question for you is, are you an Alabama fan? If so, welcome. Let's see. Maybe Freeman comes with them. Would you rather keep Durante or take Marcus Freeman? So Marcus Freeman's more experience. I also would say this, though. Okay. Sometimes Law V, the key to being a great coach is not looking around the corner. Okay. Sometimes the biggest thing that can affect a coach is thinking about, where could I potentially be outside of here? Okay. So why is that important? Well, it's very important for this reason. The worst type of employee or coworker that you can have is someone who really doesn't want to be there anymore. Okay. This would be my issue with hiring Marcus Freeman over Durante Jones. Okay. How badly does Marcus Freeman want to move to Baton Rouge? obviously there was something that happened because everyone was reporting that Marcus Freeman was for sure going to take the LSU job. Okay. Then at the last second, he flips back to Notre Dame. And a lot of it had to do with a non-football related reason. His wife wanted to stay in the Midwest. He's been in the Midwest most of his life. Okay. So Marcus Freeman, why did he leave Cincinnati to go coach to Notre Dame? Okay. Why? Why do you do it? Well, he did it because it was a higher profile job. And the word with Marcus Freeman is that he's always wanted to be a head coach. So would Marcus Freeman be more interested in remaining at Notre Dame and being the defensive coordinator there, or moving just to be another defensive coordinator somewhere else? I think the former instead of the latter. So I think what Marcus Freeman is going to do is try and get a head coaching job now. I really do think so. I don't think he's going to want to pack up and say, look, I want to go somewhere else. Brian Kelly said, screw Nick. What's up, Blake? Good to see you, man. Oh, Semper Fi, you were cheating on me tonight. I was wondering where you were. You were with Blake. Semper. Semper, you are going to be the president of the Lafayette chapter of PHL. But you go right on ahead. I'm just kidding. Blake's got a great show. I've always said this. I know Danielle's a big viewer of Blake as well. Support my guy, Blake. Blake does really good stuff. Ed says I'm trolling. Of course you are, Ed. Of course. Ed Barnes. What a name. This photo is very interesting, though, Ed. I love this photo. Like, were you caught in this pose, or are you modeling for this pose? It's a very serious pose. That's very serious, Ed. We need a Brian Kelly deep dive. Glad you asked, man. So I had actually already started working on it earlier today. I actually started this morning doing a Matt Rule deep dive. Okay. And then I got word that Brian Kelly starting to get some serious run up. And then The Athletic said Brian Kelly is really starting to get some serious run up. I trust The Athletic because, they're better reporters than me. I'm not a reporter, though. So I'd heard that Brian Kelly was starting to get some serious run up. And then I was like, okay, let me hurry up and get a video out on Brian Kelly, because I didn't think that the hire was actually going to be made tonight. And officially, it hasn't been made tonight. It's been agreed upon. I don't know if Brian Kelly has signed the contract yet or not. We'll see. But the Brian Kelly deep dive will come tomorrow. Semper actually super chatted last week for me to do a Billy Napier deep dive. Semper, I know you're a little sad about Billy going to Florida. I know that was your top guy. So yes, my Brian Kelly deep-ish dive. I don't know if it's going to be as deep as the Billy Napier one, because the Billy Napier one got really deep. I'll do my best. So. Michael, it's good. That's how you know Riley was number 1 and Kelly was number 2. I can see it. It's going to be interesting to see if someone actually is able to get Scott Woodward to tell them how the search actually went down. Oh, that is right. So Jack Besh tweeted out a smiley emoji. Seems like he's pretty on board. The coldest Crawford, the coldest to ever do it, is on board. I love it, man. The Brian Kelly memes about a northerner coming down south is so good. Tyron Matthew just retweeted someone of the Idris Elba meme. It's so good, man. Huh? So Van, I'm gonna get that Brian Kelly deep dive out tomorrow. It should air tomorrow at 6. Pretty excited about that. Edo, they need to go get. I'm a big Jeff Traylor fan. I still think he's underrated. Doc switched up his photo. What's your photo now, Doc? Oh, that's cool, man. The fighter pilots. That's cool. Yeah, I love Chip's offense. Chip's offense is very interesting. Also, Todd, very good photo of you and your little one. That's really good stuff. Welcome to the channel, Dash Dash. It's a great name. Dash Dash. I love it. Mm. So Randa Kiffin, Tucker Franklin, Fickle, Napier, Cristobal were not approached. I kind of sounded like I was naming the reindeer. And Donner and Dubrup and Duntum and Dixon. I don't remember those. So Randa Kiffin, Tucker Franklin, Fickle, Napier, Cristobal were not approached. Woodward botches, BK beat up on service academies in the ACC. Okay, so I'm glad you. Booker's rebirth. Your photo's always been interesting as well. These two shiny shoes, I like it. So let's start with Dave Aranda. Let's go through each and every one of these candidates. So Aranda, Tucker, and Napier. Okay. So this is what I was told about the search. And this is the only thing I felt pretty comfortable. And it's the one thing that actually lined up with a lot of the coaches that were attached to this LSU opening, such as Mark Stoops, such as James Franklin, such as Bill O'Brien, and obviously Jimbo Fisher. If you look at all of Scott Woodward's hires, all of his hires were very experienced coaches, right? Guys that were very experienced or have won a lot. So with the Randa, Tucker, and Napier, that is a grand total of 4 years of Power 5 experience. Now, that shouldn't exclude you of being a great coach. Urban Meyer didn't have Power 5 experience before he became the Florida coach, but I'm just relaying the information I was given that experience really did matter. Okay, so Lane Kiffin has quite a bit of Power 5 experience. I've always been told that Lane and Scott, that's just not going to work out. So now we get to James Franklin. James Franklin is not better than Brian Kelly in any shape, form, or fashion. A lot of the strengths, once again, James Franklin has is the same strengths that Jimbo Fisher and Brian Kelly has. Knows how to run a program, an offensive-minded coach that runs a little bit of an old schoolish offense. But James Franklin's offenses have only averaged 6 yards per play twice during his Penn State tenure, and they were both with the same offensive coordinator, and they were both the only years that he had Saquon Barkley. So James Franklin's just not someone that I really loved a whole lot. Luke Fickell is very interesting, but this was known about Luke Fickell for quite some time that he is a Ohio guy, that he doesn't really want to leave Cincinnati. So now we get to Cristobal, who's very interesting. Once again, Cristobal is kind of a CEO type like Ed Orgeron, a lineman guy, elite recruiter. How good is he, though, between the headsets? I'm dead serious. Utah, which is a really good team, blew him out of the water, and they also lost to Stanford, who's probably the worst team in the Pac-12 right now. And I just don't know if Cristobal is good enough between the headsets. And unlike some of the names that we've mentioned, including Jimbo Fisher and James Franklin, Cristobal had a pretty elite quarterback, and really offensively, Oregon's offenses were never really that great under Justin Herbert. So then it leaves us here with all that. I went over all the candidates there. So that's basically my stance, a little bit mixed with what I've heard about Scott Woodward as well, as far as those names there. Now, Booker's Rebirth, I don't know, even if you like those names, I want to ask you this question. How much better are those names than Brian Kelly, right? I'm just genuinely asking. Or do you think Brian Kelly is just not that great based on the level of competition? Okay. You still want Dave Aranda. Jesse, thank you for switching up your photo, man. You went from the Atlanta Braves. I like that. Jesse, you've never had an avatar view. I like it, man. Aaron, we need to get you a photo. One with Ness, one with Howard. Todd, did I like Brian Kelly's offense? We'll get a little deeper into it in our deep dive tomorrow. Doc switching it up again. I like it. Cool stuff. Let's go. Do we get Freeman? We'll follow, or who else for OC? So we talked a lot about Marcus Freeman. I think he's going to try and be a head coach now. That's always been his goal. That's what I've heard from industry sources, that he wants to be a head coach as soon as possible. But I could be wrong about that. Information changes. I could have just gotten bad info there. I think he's going to try and be the head coach of Notre Dame. And I think he's got a good shot. If Luke Fickell doesn't come, I don't know where they'll go, especially with recruiting being this close to the signing day period. So we'll see. Let's go. So as far as the offensive coordinator is concerned, do we think Freeman will follow? Also, who for OC? I don't know who the offensive coordinator is going to be. It's very interesting. Part of me liking Dave Aranda so much was me thinking that Jeff Grimes is going to come along with them. And Jeff Grimes is for the Broyles Award now. I don't think he can get Jeff Grimes now. I don't think Kelly is that great. 311 against the top 10. Finally got a coach, Carter. I was pulling my hair out. I love it, man. Throw it the L's, baby. I love it. However, anytime I hear the phrase Coach Carter, I think of the greatest actor of all time. There's Michael Freeman. Michael put up a guitar photo. I like that we're putting up all these photos now. More like car tired. Denzel Washington. Frank, do you really think Denzel Washington played Coach Carter? Frank Graziano. Do you really think? I hope so. I really do. I know, Frank, you were saying Denzel. It's funny. Whenever you bring up a greatest actors comment, it's amazing. I would say probably 90% of people say Denzel Washington. It's hilarious. But Samuel L. Jackson, do I like him better than Denzel, though? I don't know. I even got to ask myself that question. Boom, boom, boom. I love it. I would stay away from Dan Mullen for right now, Jesse. That would be Samuel L. Jackson. Is he the highest grossing actor in Hollywood? There's some people in here quoting Snakes on the Plane. I love it. Whenever we get past 2 hours on the live stream, things get weird. All right. To finish up on Booker Rebirth Super Chat, one more thing. I don't want to hear anything about LSU wanting a clean hire. BK has academic improprieties. Booker, it's ironic that you bring up academic improprieties because I was a horrible student. And it is shown because I can't say improprieties. And the negligent death of a student in his program at Notre Dame, that is a very serious thing that happened. And it just is. I can't downplay that at all. As an LSU alum, I'm disappointed. So, yeah, once again, it's not good what happened there. Let's see. I met Samuel L. Jackson in Portland, Oregon. That probably was an interesting meetup. God, my back is... I need to get a new chair, guys. I'm going to be walking around with a bad back. Johnny says SEC, where big-name coaches go to die. That's pretty grim. Good luck. Bear said, is the coach's game? BS, players. That's part of the reason why Brian Kelly's coming to LSU. And it's kind of weird whenever you look up Notre Dame's salaries. Brian Kelly, it's a private university, so you really don't know how much money he was actually making because that information doesn't have to be made public. But whatever he was making at Notre Dame is not $10 million a year. A lot of this comes down to money. We're all the same in the grand scheme of things. Unless you have a lot of money, you're not going to turn down millions of extra dollars, right? Turns out Lincoln Riley was going to get paid by somebody. It just wasn't us. Kelly left Cincinnati in a similar way. Y'all are in for a treat. So Ed changed his photo to Devonta Smith making this catch. It was a good catch. It's kind of trolly, though, to change that photo in the middle of an LSU stream. Kind of trolly. I should go jump on an Alabama stream, change my profile photo to Jamar catching the ball over Diggs, but I'm not going to do that because I am professional. I'm kidding. There is no such thing as professionalism in the SEC. I try my best, so. It's change your photo time. Dang, Master Blaster, you're on photo number 20. You know what's interesting, Tony, is you have like 20 different photos of you and your lovely significant other in front of Tiger Stadium. I love it. It's always the best backdrop. College football stadiums are really the best backdrops, especially during day games. You know, you get older when. Oh, do that. I'm a Bengals fan. Yeah, I don't think. No, Diggs did win a national championship. Kelly is better than Riley. Simper, you were anti-Riley from the get-go, though, so that's perfectly fine. Oh, that's your daughter. Well, my apologies. Huh? I said significant other. It's kind of. Well, your daughter is very beautiful. There you go, Tony. So you're an NFL LSU fan. Jarquise, that is true. Ed's a real LSU fan. Anybody that trolls an LSU channel, they really are LSU. Alabama wishes they were us. They really do. I go back to T-Bob's rant about this. Okay. So let's talk about job hopping. I know Jared and I don't agree on everything, but I agree with this. Sometimes you just got to leave. You just do. Kelly left Cincinnati, and he's only been at Notre Dame for a decade. You don't think the NFL's tried to go on and get him? People quit jobs all the time. They just do. There are some people that will never leave their jobs, right? There are some people who you can't see leaving their jobs or anything else. There are some people who only will get a job where they currently are. Ed Orgeron's one of those guys, right? Sam Pittman seems to be one of those guys that would never leave Arkansas, right? But coaches are just like you and me. They're going to go where they get paid the most, okay? Now, other coaches have the liberty, if they have a bunch of national titles and a ton of money, that they don't have to do that. But even then, they're going to go to the highest bidder, okay? It's the bottom line. There's people that get after Mel Tucker for leaving Colorado at the last second. Yes. Every single human being would have done the same thing. He was making $2 million a year at Colorado, or 2.5. Michigan State offered him $5 million a year with no winning seasons in the back. He left like every single human being would have done. Every single one of them. So stop this nonsense about job hopping. Brian Kelly has done the exact opposite. How many coaches last a decade where they are right now? Not many. But Brian Kelly left Cincinnati for Notre Dame. Guess what? The guy who's about to be in the playoff with Cincinnati is about to do the same thing. Maybe. Yeah, exactly. Jared, I'm agreeing with you. So it just doesn't make sense. People jump from job to job. It happens. Jonathan's a Walker Howard stan. Even though he got hurt again, I'm a Walker Howard stan. Pelicans beating the Clippers? I like it. Did the Seahawks really not beat Washington? And they lost 17-15? So there's a writer, Kevin Clark for The Ringer, who has this viral tweet who says the Seahawks never play a normal game. Did anyone watch the game? I know it was some BS how they lost. Okay. It looks like Russell Wilson had a decent game tonight. Huh? Oh my God, the Seahawks. I've never understood the infatuation with Pete Carroll, right? Yes, he's won national championships. I totally get that. But at the same time, I mean, they wasted Russell Wilson, man. I think Russell Wilson's going to be a Bronco next year. I do. Jeffrey, your comments are always good. Your logo is also really cool, Jeffrey. I think you're one of the few PHLers that actually has like his own logo. Who's a more storied program, Notre Dame or LSU? Why would Kelly leave Notre Dame? Do you think he maxed out there? I think that's part of it. Winning the college football playoff is probably something he wants to do. But it's also money, baby. It's money. You get to live in a warmer climate in Baton Rouge compared to South Bend. Y'all want Scott Satterfield to call plays? Why not? Oh, I know, Jared. You know, Haley made cookies tonight to go along with the carne asada. I don't know, guys. I think part of the PHL, I just think we need to freshen up our PHL merch. We've not sold a shirt in forever, right? I think it's just me. I just don't think I'm sexy enough to sell shirts. King Ulysses, you're part of the shirt club. Jared's part of the shirt club. Does the shirt look too, is it bad? Is there an issue with it? Something small on the front, big on the back. We'll mix it up. Saban says the talent at LSU is absolutely amazing. That is true. Hey, G. Hey, G. That's so cool. I like how you say it. Hey, G. Hey, G. Suck that, Tiger. Jared, we're going to get some new merch. So Jared, since he's been such a big-time PHLer, Jared got to see potentially our new logo. I know a lot of you are pretty excited about that. God, I might be needing to get a new MacBook soon. You want the boom in there? Oh, Semper. Oh, we actually get to see what Semper looks like. Look at you, Semper. Significant other on your wedding day? Look at that. Since it's new picture day and all. Dang, Semper, you're a big dude. You did play ball. You want boom on the back. Hitman wants that boom. So here's what I think we're going to do. Okay, since I got 204, y'all are the diehards, right? I think we're going to get some new bands. We're still always going to have booger bands. So we're going to do Let's Go, and then we're going to put boom on there. And then we'll have Z number 18. Well, Semper says, I know I'm pretty. I'll stop. Well, your significant other is pretty. But you, on the other hand, this hair, I mean, what are we doing here, Semper? What is this? What are we does anyone in here have Semper? I'm gonna go to the barber tomorrow and say, yo, Jason, give me the Semper. Give me the Semperfied. And my barber also served, but he was in the Army. I said, give me the Semperfi. Jared says, glad Semper is fighting for us. The Mohawk crew. Jared is a Mohawker. Looks bad. Looks bad. No, I think I could say bad. I lived in Indiana too, and it totally sucked. Does Kelly run the pro style offense? It's a little outdated. It has been freshened up a little bit. I will say this: Kelly's quarterbacks, for the most part, have been a bunch of Max Johnsons, guys that can play good, but at the same time, not be really a next level. PLG switching up the photo. PLG got the fish. I like it. I don't know anything about fishing. We do have some pro fishermen in here, like real pros. The Team Bash, the Team Bass, whatever. But PLG, I mean, it's tough to beat the photo with Alex Bregman. It's tough, man. I'm not that far from the reverse Mohawk. At PLG. No, they run a spread, but it's not as wide open as like what Oklahoma does or what 2019 LSU is, a little bit more ground and pound. And they've had better offensive linemen and running backs than probably receivers and quarterbacks. So, yeah. Ed. So, Ed, this is you as an LSU tailgate. We'll see you then, man. Chillmonger, I've missed you, man. Cool stuff. No, PLG, rock your photo the way you want to rock it, man. Chillmonger, man, ask whatever question you want to ask, my guy. Shout out to the Q Dogs. That's cool, man. Omega Sci-Fi, Shaq on the sideline. Got a bunch of Marines in here too. Cool stuff, man. Kenneth, what's good? Recruiting's going to be good, man. Look up Notre Dame's recruiting. Danielle. I know you're just over there watching Blake. I totally get it. Blake was in there earlier. Who does Kelly keep on the current LSU staff, and who do you think he retains? Corey Raymond's pretty confirmed that he's going to remain. I think Kev Falk's going to stay as well. I would be shocked if Brad Davis left. But obviously the bigger names are going to be your coordinators, right? So yeah. If you were to ask me right now, I know for sure Jake Peets and DJ Mangus are probably gone, and I think they know it too. Blake Baker, maybe. I know he's got a lot of support from in that building. Andre Carter, I don't know. But Kelly's going to want to bring in some of his guys at some point. So if I were to guess, Corey Raymond, Kev Falk, Brad Davis. I think Mickey Joseph tries something new and goes to Nebraska. So we'll see. Go Navy. Doc Knock. I've enjoyed all your photos, man. Average 13th class over 10 years at Notre Dame. Cool stuff. Number one, I was Christmas decorating and had my son giving me the tweet down low on the situation. Cool stuff. How's everything in Georgia going? King Ulysses, there you go. I've never seen your children. I love it, man. I remember you had to miss a live stream for your daughter's birthday. Shout out to all the super dads out there. My son at the refuge. How do you like that picture? That's really cool stuff, man. Huh? I love the hair. That's great. I've heard 10 years, 100 million, but 15 million a year is a pretty good number. Let's follow up on Chillmonger's super chat here. How do you rate this hire initially? So I'm going to stick with the same number I shared earlier. I would say 7.5 out of 10. Especially if this ended up being your second option. I do know from reading The Athletic that I didn't know this. So full disclosure, if you're just joining us, earlier today, I got word that Brian Kelly was being pursued. Okay. Once again, a lot of information that I've received is just everyone was throwing names. At first, I thought Matt Rule was going to be the next name. So I started doing a deep dive on Matt Rule just to do it. All right. And then I heard Brian Kelly, and I thought, okay, there's no way Brian Kelly is actually going to leave Notre Dame for this job, right? So I started doing a deep dive on Brian Kelly, and the video tonight was going to be, well, what are my thoughts on Brian Kelly, right? What are my thoughts on his offense? So I started looking at some Notre Dame film for a little bit, and then I started looking at his yard per play numbers, offensive efficiency, and all that stuff. And then The Athletic reported that LSU was pursuing Brian Kelly. And let's be honest, The Athletic has really good reporters. Bruce Feldman is really tied in at LSU and Notre Dame. So I was like, okay, this looks like it's going to happen. And then Pete Thamel reported that this was going to happen. And Pete Thamel was the first one to report that Marcus Freeman was going to stay at Notre Dame or go to Notre Dame instead of LSU. So at that point, I was like, okay, we're just going to do a live stream. So, for my initial deep dive, there was a lot that I liked about Brian Kelly. There was a lot that I dislike about Brian Kelly. One thing that I do think is important, though, is that tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central, we're going to be dropping a pretty deep Brian Kelly deep dive. Some of the research that I've done today, some of the things I like, some of the things that I don't like. So we'll see. Goose, what's good? Aaron, it's a little too early to say because it depends on who's on the roster. And with my son's hair and that's cool. Cool stuff. That's awesome. Would Lane have been a 10 for me? No. In lieu of events from Saturday, cool stuff. I like Michigan's team a lot, and I'm glad Harbaugh finally broke through. What was the poll results on the hire? I think it was overwhelmingly yes, if people thought Brian Kelly was a good hire. Do I think Brian Kelly can make the college football playoff in year one? Probably not. I mean, you're going into Bryce Young's third year. SEC West is still going to be good. But yeah, it's possible. I mean, anything's possible in the SEC next year. But if there was a year to really take advantage of Saban kind of having a down year, it was this one. Possible in the SEC next year. But if there was a year to really take... Let me turn that off. Okay. Year 2 PLG. Change this photo to a chicken biscuit. Now you're making me hungry. I don't know why, but this biscuit looked perfect. I don't think he was getting $15 million a year. I just don't. Okay. Let me share this with you. This is from Matt Fortuna, who mostly covers Notre Dame, but he would know. Okay. Boom. So there you go. That's for my dear friend Danielle. She's decorating for Christmas. Haley was decorating for Christmas all this weekend. She does have some cookies in there for me. Okay, so this is via Matt Fortuna and Brody Miller. What am I eating? Wings? I actually had some this weekend. Could be the case. He's 60. Scott, welcome to the channel. $10 million a year, Brian Kelly would become the 8th highest paid coach in U.S. sports. Second highest paid coach to Nick Saban. Yeah, Walker Howard's definitely a lock. I actually lean towards a 5-year deal because why would you do a 10-year deal with his age? It's true. Let me see. Yeah, I haven't seen 75 million. But oh well. Money, we're not having to pay it. Well, all right, guys, we are 3 hours into this, and it is a school night. Dang, PLG. Save some fish in the ocean for the rest of us. Goodness. Think max transfers? That is a hot take. Posted a link to the 15 million. Well, looks like it's 15 million. So I'll say this. You're getting close to wrapping things up. Was Brian, let's just say I considered Brian Kelly from the get-go, right? I like it. He's obviously very successful, right? Now, obviously I'm really excited that we finally have a coach. But we'll see. I went live like kind of, right in the middle of my research because the announcer was made. There's a lot that I like. He's obviously very successful. And we'll see what he does now that he has better athletes to recruit. Now, are there some moral things about Brian Kelly that are a little bit off? Yeah. But like I always say, college football is not a sport or a beacon of morality, right? I'll take it one step further here. On the field, there are some things that do make me shake my head towards Brian Kelly, and I'm actually going to dive a little deeper into some of Notre Dame's games. It's kind of hard to do, film study of just so many different games. And I just haven't watched a whole lot of Notre Dame footage. So I'm about to start that process for the deep dive tomorrow at 6 Central. We'll do another live stream tomorrow night. So, yeah. So, as we always do at the end of these live chats, I'll keep going if you guys keep super chatting. We have had a really good night of super chats. I appreciate all your supports. Look at that. Very nice. Over $200. Appreciate you guys. And that is, most of the money that I have is what I do full time. I forgot Notre Dame played this year. It is kind of crazy how quiet they've put together a one-loss season. Yeah, should be a fun one tomorrow. And lucky enough, a lot of it's already done. But we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to do any film with it, though. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be kind of like our other deep dive. So, all right. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. You can, if you're just now joining us, you can see the beginning of this. This live chat will be made available immediately at the end of this. And I appreciate all our new viewers and hopefully new subscribers to the channel. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Oh, we're doing some cookies and carne asada tonight. Let's go. Huh?